So last week, there was a bunch of saltiness, and I went to Taylor right when I saw it.
Sure, which I hadn't even heard about it yet.
Right.
You were my breaking news at that point when I heard about this.
Magic gives out promos to judges for going to judge competitions.
Conferences,
For going to judge conferences. And those promos are sought-after cards.
Yes.
They're very neat.
Yes.
But
and sometimes very valuable, like financially, they can carry a lot.
They can carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And then the Judges Academy, which is the governing body that runs all the MTG judges, right? They premiered what the Q3 and Q4 promos are going to be, and here's some basic lands.
Yep. The owl lands.
The owl with an owl on them.
Which if you don't know, that's the logo of the Judge Academy is. If I'm not mistaken, I think the card is called Judge's Familiar. It's out of one of the Ravnica sets, and it's a little owl. And so they've kind of adopted that, which I'll show off however the camera picks this up. I don't know if it'll see it on the foiling. You can also see these on Scryfall or something like that. But this is Crixung Yawgmoth as that Judge foil. I'm moving it around a little there because you might see in the rules text, there is a little overlay of a little owl, and that's that logo of Judge's Familiar. So that's the logo, the branding kind of that Judge Academy uses. So the owl lands.
Yes. And to say that there was some consternation amongst the judge community on the internet would be kind of an understatement. What was your initial reaction? Because I remember there was a difference between your initial reaction and your later reaction when we talked about it more. What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction, I was actually about 9% mad at you because I got slightly tilted and I noticed it in my play in the next match I was playing. It was a tiny little Pioneer event. There were 6 of us, which, hey, Pioneer on Thursdays. Come check it out. We're having a good time. And so it did fire, which was nice. The event fired. But hearing about it, my first reaction was, come on. That was really my first reaction, was really basic lands, you know.
Well, you told me they had said there was going to be a theme for this year.
Yes, and
basic lands were not the theme.
No, and I have some of these here as well. So this is Retrofitter Foundry again, however, it's picking up on the camera there. So I'm not scooching all the way across the room. And it was going to be Old Border Artifacts. This is what was announced as the theme for the year. And that was, I'm not exactly sure when it was announced. I'm not on social at all, except for really the shop's Discord, and the Judge Academy Discord as well, to be fair. I'm on a few Discord servers, but that's it for social. So I hear about most of these announcements through, oh, right, I remember to go check Judge Academy's blog. So that was one thing was, oh, this is different than what was promised. And when I first hear, really, we're getting basic lands? Because the thing with these is, if you don't know how judges get these promos, you have to attend a conference. Not always easy to do. For example, the next closest conference to me is, if I'm not mistaken, actually, I think it's this weekend, and it's all the way over near the Tri-Cities. So never mind the fact that the entire east side of the state's on fire right now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, which thankfully the smoke kind of cleared out for those of us on the west side, but praying for those on the east there is, you know, Spokane, a lot of it's rough right now. I would be driving all the way across the state to go to this conference, and at this point, are we in Q3 yet? Is this Q3? I don't know how.
Yes, we're technically in Q3.
Yeah, and so I would be driving all the way over there if I was accepted, because there's a limited number of slots at each of these conferences, to receive 2 of these 5 basic lands. So the way it works is they're releasing 2 of them in Q3, 2 in Q4, and then they have a bonus one. My guess is that bonus one, the way most judges do it is, it's to the YouTube chat there, Tri-Cities are on the east side of the state, almost near the Idaho border. Yes. So probably about a 7 to 8 hour drive from where I am, from where I'm sitting right now. And so to get 2 of these 5 basics, I'd need to go to that conference. To get 2 more, I need to go to a conference in Q4. And to get the Forest, which is the 5th one, I would probably have to be selected as a presenter at one of these conferences, which I've tried to do multiple times, and I've never been accepted.
And let's cover this too, while we're on it, because this is going to get into what we get into later in this topic, so stay tuned on this one. They don't pay for your travel.
No.
They do not reimburse you for your travel.
No.
This is all on your own dime.
Yep.
So, again, Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
Gas.
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah.
Hotel.
Yeah, somewhere to stay.
Somewhere to stay, etc.
Yeah.
All on your own nickel.
Yeah.
So if you want to get these, you have to go out and do all that by yourself,
Yeah.
right? Without any reimbursement from either Judges Academy or Magic the Gathering.
And I would want to be fair because I actually think the fact that they're having this conference in the Tri-Cities is really cool. I'll get to why in a moment, but other conferences have been closer. Last summer, I did a conference in Tacoma, not the closest it could have been, but not super far, probably about an hour and a half drive. And then the most recent one I attended, I think back in April, which got me the Crick that I just showed you, the Retrofitter Foundry, a couple other things for the Judge promos, that was in Bellevue. I think I drove about 25 minutes to that. Now, granted, there are Judge colleagues, say, in Alaska. They don't have conferences to go to. This is one of the cool things. So this conference is out all the way across the strait from me.
Yeah. You've told me the first one you said to me was a conference for the Western region in Guam.
Now, what's interesting about that is what I was mentioning was I am a judge in the U.S. West region, which geographically is the largest region because it has to reach all the way across the Pacific to Guam.
But they held one of these conferences in Guam.
Sort of.
Okay.
What they did, and this is the conference that's actually happening, if I'm not mistaken, this upcoming weekend, which if it's not clear from me not knowing the date, I'm not going. So I'll be missing out on my shot at these, first couple basics here. What they're doing, which is actually kind of cool, is they are hosting a multi-site, region-wide conference where they're setting up hubs. So they've got a hub for judges to get together up in Alaska. They've got a hub for judges to get together in Guam, which my understanding is going to be like a person sitting in front of a computer set up to a Zoom call. But that's why it's all the way over in Kennewick, is because the east side of the state basically never gets conferences. It's always Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, because demographically, that's where you have a high density of people. This conference was specifically pitched. Hawaii is a part of our region. Yeah, so Hawaii is a part of that. I'm seeing in the YouTube chat there. And so that was the point of this conference, was connecting the region. It is what it is, and I think it's really, really cool for people in rural Idaho, eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, Hawaii, Guam, Alaska, northern California. These places where normally they're the ones driving 6 to 8 hours to have to go to a conference, or if you're in Guam, Alaska, or Hawaii, not going. I think the last time Hawaii got an in-person conference was probably when the World Championship of Magic was there.
Probably.
That's the only reason I could see them wanting to have one.
Now, on top of this, and this is where we're going to get into the deeper stuff. So not only is it the promos, all of this stuff is done on your own dime.
Yep.
Furthermore, you have to pay to be part of the Judges Academy.
Yes.
There is a yearly $100.
If you're a level 1, it goes up if you're an L2, and it goes up further if you're an L3.
Right. What is the cost for an L3?
I mean, I honestly don't know. I believe it scales similarly. I think level 1 is around 100. I wouldn't be surprised if level 2 is around 200. Level 3 is around 300. That's not confirmed, so I want to be very clear on that. That's how I would expect it to scale. But you're paying between $100 and a few $100 a year.
Now, all of this to say, you as a Magic the Gathering judge, and this is the recognized body by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
This is who Wizards of the Coast recognizes. These are the people who are going to judge our competitive events.
Yep.
Right? You have to pay out of pocket for conferences. You have to pay out of pocket for your membership. And the baseline compensation for being a judge, beyond what a store will do.
Yes. Which we can get into that in a moment here, is what you get paid from stores, events, that sort of thing.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's all out of pocket.
Yeah.
And they do not compensate except with these things. Now, you told me you've attended meetings at these conferences where it was like, how to do your taxes when your stuff is Magic promos.
There was a breakout session at a conference. It was a digital conference that I attended. So just like everything was during COVID, sitting in front of a Zoom call for, 6 hours a day for 2 days. Liked the promos I got. This is really fancy. I'll show this one off. Promo Omniscience. That's a card some people get excited about. I'm not as much of a blue player, especially something that costs 10 is sometimes outside my wheelhouse. But anyway, there was a breakout session about how to do your taxes when all of your income is in foil cardboard. Because they're less so now, but I do know some judges who still do it. They are full-on road warriors. This is what they do. They drive around, they fly around. They were in Barcelona helping run MagicCon Barcelona. They were judging that Pro Tour that was there. They're gonna be in Vegas. They were in Philly. They were in, I think it was Minneapolis, if I'm not mistaken, just before that.
We'll get to that one in a little bit.
Okay, we'll get to that one. Okay. And so there are judges who do this, travel around, and this is their income. The one guy I know who really travels the world and does it, he does it because he received a very generous trust when his parents unfortunately passed quite early. So that's how he gets to do this. He is the anomaly.
Right.
And so it's very rare that that's the case, but there are people who are in that spot where they have to figure out how to piece together this income, and not a small amount of their income is selling these promos. So, yeah.
So the other thing that I saw after the conversation of the basic lands is a couple of interesting things, and I want to cover a couple of things. So, for example, when you host an RCQ, right,
which is a regional championship qualifier
for any of these events, in our instructions as an LGS hosting an RCQ, it says we cannot legally make you bring in a judge, but we recommend it.
Yep.
Right? They are not allowed to force us to bring in a judge.
Yep.
Now, Taylor was not available, so we paid a L3.
You got a level 3, yeah.
Right.
Who I thought was a level 2 when I recommended him
to come in and judge the RCQ event, right? And we paid him, right, for that specific event. And he was here for 9 hours, judging the thing, right? But we don't receive a back-end compensation from Magic for doing this.
That judge.
Right.
Yeah.
We still have to pay for the RCQ kit. We have to pay for our judge. And we have to decide whether it's financially viable for us to do so based on all of that stuff. Because, again, Magic is a separate entity.
Yes. Wizards, I suppose.
Wizards is a separate entity. Again, this is the recognized group. But a lot of what came out was for the health of the competition, for the health of the competitive scene, for the health of their judges thingy, at some point, somebody's got to step in and figure out how to redo the judges' system.
Yeah.
Because right now it's like basically hobbyists, right?
Yeah.
Who do this for fun.
And I mean, it's interesting because I see in the YouTube chat here the old slogan, there was a slogan for a while, and this is for players as well as judges: play Magic, see the world. Which we are. I want to give credit to, I'm blanking on their name. It's a former pro player who's now the director of organized play at Wizards. It's getting there again. There are opportunities to play Magic from an American perspective abroad. MagicCon Barcelona just happened, and if you qualified for that PT, you had to figure out how to get there. But that's always been the case. It's to my knowledge, Wizards didn't pay for that travel, and so I am interested to see what is going to happen with the judge program, because I was putting together my potential presentation I was going to do for this judge conference, the one that's happening, and I was turned down for that. And I want to be very clear, I have no bad feelings about that, about being turned down. I'm a new, relatively inexperienced judge. I'm an unknown name. If you've got a more solid presenter, makes sense to go with them. One of the things I was going to talk about in that presentation was something that I came up with a terrible name for, of FWAMO. So there's FOMO, fear of missing out. FWAMO was my silly thing I came up with of fear we already missed out.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the way that established judges talk about the judge program is, this was great, insert sometime in the past. Pre-COVID, basically. Judges gathered more often. There was more of an established local community. It felt like there were more for judges kind of quote-unquote to do. And my perspective as a newer judge on that is, that was very true for people who were in the judge program. But for people on the outside, it was rough. It was, as we've talked about a little bit on stream before, a tough community to get into, and an experience that it felt very opaque. It was hard to figure out, like, how do you be a judge? Seeing in the YouTube chat there, it's Huey Jensen, who's now in charge of organized play. Thank you for catching that for me. So, as the perspective as a new judge, when I go to conferences, I hear a lot of these established judges talk about, oh, it was better, and then they mention sometime 2015, 2012, something like that. And I enjoy, as you say, kind of being a hobbyist judge. You know, I do it because I want to serve specifically our community here at Gamers Heaven. And then every now and then, I'll go work a larger convention because I would want to be fair to some larger event organizers. I can go make, as a level 1 judge, between $700 and $1,000 in a weekend at some of these larger conventions, if I'm selected.
Right.
If you work a PAX, if you work a Gen Con, if you work one of these Magic Cons or something like that. Now, those are 10 to 12-hour work days. You are on your feet constantly. You're moving around. You're doing logistics. For those looking from the outside, judging probably looks like somebody doing a whole lot of nothing right up until they're doing a lot of something.
A lot of everything.
Yes, and what's interesting about being a judge is, Alex, as you say, for the RCQ or something like that, it doesn't feel like you're doing much of anything until all of a sudden you're making a call in a game that could be deciding whether or not somebody gets an invite to the regional championship.
There was a lot of discussion about that too, again, about the level of professionalism of some judges and the fact that because judges are not compensated, right, what are you going to get out of this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As like, you're paying for a judge, what are you going to get? Like, what kind of professionalism? What kind of,
The NFL pays referees.
Yes.
Major League Baseball pays
umpires.
Right? Magic the Gathering does not pay judges.
No. And
right?
I mean,
and there was a lot of talk again from the pro side circuit where they were like, and there was I saw a lot of stories about bad beats.
Yeah. Like players talking about this judge either didn't get this call right or messed up this thing, and here's what happened as a result.
Yep. And so
it's very true. Seeing in the YouTube chat there, it's when you're the judge, you are the face of the person making that decision. And so you receive all that player's criticism. You're talking about these bad beat decisions. Judges catch this both ways. On the one hand, you make a call wrong. If you're the only judge there, that's the call, even if it's against the rules. Now, that will get caught at higher level play. Pro Tour play, even regional championship play, Pro Tour play, you will have multiple judges on site. An RCQ here, if it's me, a relatively inexperienced judge, I have a lot to learn about being a judge. I'll happily, humbly admit that. There's a chance I get a call wrong. Now, I will be double checking the rules. I will be doing my best to try to keep track of those things. However, at an RCQ, if I'm the only judge, the call I make is the call. And because outside of right now, about 15 pre-made training modules on Judge Academy for level 1 judges, which I want to be clear, I think are really solid. Like, I think it is my job as a judge to be prepared to make those calls and to make them properly. That is true. It is also true, there's no quarterly review process for judges. There is no external organization keeping me actively accountable. Like, the most somebody could do would be, and maybe this is a thing, but reach out to Judge Academy and say, I had a really bad experience with Judge X.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens as a result of that. I honestly don't know as a judge if there is a formal review process.
It's very obvious that something should be done.
I could agree with that. And I want to say, as somebody who, I know the people who are running Judge Academy, I both like and respect the people who are running Judge Academy. I think they are doing good work to try to bring some standards, some accountability. Because to their credit, some of the modules that you do are as much about customer service, event management, conflict resolution, as they are about how is layer 7 applied when you're dealing with various card interactions.
Somebody in the chat says that this used to be part of WotC. Not to my knowledge.
Not officially, is my understanding.
Yeah, not officially, and I don't think it was ever. I don't think WotC ever did this. So this is my prediction. The same, it's running pretty long.
Sure.
I think something should be done.
Yeah.
Nothing will be done.
I'm the obnoxiously hopeful guy who chooses, and this is why I think it's interesting to see Judge Academy getting a crack at this, because I would want to be fair. We didn't bring this up earlier. there's probably about 60% of the judge community, if I'm doing some rough math based on what I saw on the Judge Academy Discord and the Facebook page. I have a Facebook account that I use professionally, I should say. It's the one piece of social that I'm on. Probably about 60% of the judge community was actually quite excited about these basics. A lot of people saying, I loved the first round of judge basics. I think these are cool. If judges don't want them, give them to me.
Right.
Because, and so I would want to give them credit for that. I choose to be hopeful that as Judge Academy gets some more experience under their belt, there is more standardization to what it means to be a judge. But I think, Alex, your point is very fair. As long as judges are not officially compensated, it is always going to be a question mark the kind of quality you're going to get from an individual.
Yep.
Because their mentality may be not the mentality that I hold, but the mentality that some hold. You want me to do better, pay me.
Yeah.
For you, I'm going to show up and run the hell out of your event because I care about the shop, I care about our community, and I care about my integrity as a judge and as a person. Well, not everybody does that.
And furthermore, it's a matter of accessibility, right? In this particular case, like we'll use you as our example and a bunch of other judges. You have the ability to be like, I'm an L1 judge. You do the stuff here and things like that, and sometimes you do conventions, things. But the fact of the matter is, this for you right now works out, right? But you could not quit your job.
Absolutely not.
And go be a Magic judge, even if you wanted to.
As much as I would love to try to live off of Gamers Heaven store credit, we've got some great food here, but that would be difficult.
But I'm saying, even if you wanted to do, like you said, the guys who are road warriors. Sure. I'm willing to bet a lot of those guys aren't making a lot of money.
No.
Right? And so, probably not enough money to support a family and things like that. Like, and that's, YouTube chat brings that up. Magic judges are basically volunteers who get promos as a thank you.
Yeah.
And the problem is again, this is why nobody takes pro-level gaming seriously.
More seriously, yeah.
Because the lack of give a crap about those standards, starting at the top, this is what you get.
Yeah.
You get judges and you get basically a pro, and you get judges who don't get paid, and you get a hobbyist community.
Yes.
Right?
I think it's an accurate way of referring to it, a hobbyist community, yeah.
A lot of people in the chat are saying, that judges should be fairly compensated.
And I'm seeing the comment there about that's why somebody having left the judging scene for, in this case, it looks like it was another card game for Yu-Gi-Oh! It's one of those things where I think you've nailed it. It's a hobbyist community, and if you want it to be more, then you do need to look to the example of a professional sports organization and see, you want quality, you pay people. Because the second you make them an employee, now not only are there established standards, then you can say, you are not meeting these standards. Right. And therefore, you are no longer
an employee.
A part of this. Yeah, that would be what they'd be able to do.
So, we'll see what they do. Again, I'm not, Taylor's the hopeful one. I have no faith in corporations.
And that's fair. And my thing is, when I'm saying I have hope in Judge Academy, I am picturing the faces of two people who I know are helping run Judge Academy. So, knowing those two humans, I am hopeful. Because it's like, if it's those two in the room, I think something can happen. But it's that personal connection.
There you go.
I have that connection to them.
Hey, look, you made it to the end of the video. So that means that you need to, like and favorite and subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can find out about all the other cool stuff. And check down in the description because our address is down there, so you can come hang out with us in store. So thanks for watching the end. Bye.
That's pretty good. Do you want to do it again?
Listen to it. Tell me how it sounds, looks.